I can already hear the Java-loving Java Lava gremlins coming at me. Welcome to the Techie Tessie channel. My name is Tess, and today we're going to be talking about testing in Python. I can already hear the Java-loving Java Lava gremlins coming at me saying, Java's testing framework's better, do a tutorial on JUnit. The reason I'm starting off with a testing video in Python is because 1, I love Python, and 2, this is what's being used in industry. I've seen it and worked on it firsthand. So if you want to stick around and learn about Python testing, continue watching. Okay, so the IDE we're going to be using is Visual Studio. In 2019 is the most recent version. So I'm going to go in here. And the reason you were using Visual Studio instead of Visual Studio Code is because Visual Studio Code is more of a text editor, whereas Visual Studio is more of a proper IDE, which has more functionality. So we're going to go to Create New Project. Make sure here the language selected is Python. And if you haven't got Python as an option here, go to Visual Studio Installer here, which should be downloaded when you've got Visual Studio downloaded, and you'll be able to configure Python in there. And we're going to select Python application and next. Then we're just going to name our application and get started. So within the Python file we created, before we test a method, we obviously have to create one. So I've created a method called formatted name, which takes the parameters first name and last name and returns them in the title format, meaning capitalized first letters of the first name and last name. So let's test this out with my name, which is Tess What, and we'll click Start up here to run it. And as you can see, it's capitalized the first letters of my first and last name. So now that we have a method, we want to create a test file for it. So over here in the Solution Explorer, right-click on your application, go to Add, New Item, and select Python Unit Test. So once that test file's been created, a lot of it will already be auto-completed for you, which is nice. But I've just filled in here the actual test method that we'll be using. One important thing to note is you have to import the method from your first file into your test file, which is this line here. So we're saying from this file, import this method so that we can use it within this test file. You can do testing in the same file as your actual application file, but once your projects get bigger, it's good to have separate test files for each of your different methods and each of your different sections. So what we've got here is we have an example name, like we had here with my name. And what we're saying is we want to assert equal result, which is this test name, and our actual method. So if our method worked correctly, the result, which is this name, will become this name. In order to run a test, we go over to this side, to the Solution Explorer, highlight our test file, right-click, and click on Run Tests. And as you can see, it's passed, which means that this was successfully turned into this. Now, just for context, I'm going to show you what it looks like if your test fails. So this is the name we're entering, and as you can see, both lowercase, and this is what we would expect to receive. And let's see, a capital, and this isn't a capital, so the test should fail, because if our method is working, this should be our result. But if this is our result, let's see how it pans out. So let's go over here, run tests. And as we can see, it failed. So once you build up an application with more and more methods, what you'd do is you'd come over to your test file. You'd only need one class, or at least one class per, section of methods. So you'd just add more tests within your class, and that's how you would format it. I hope you found this video helpful. Keep the code coming, be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.